Lesson 88, Up to the Revelation. The Prophet's Manners Before Prophethood. As we knew, Allah blessed Halima as-Sa'diyah, who suckled the Prophet, peace be upon him, and her family. Allah turned their hardship into easiness, sated their sheep with food, and gushed out the milk from their udders in a year of barrenness and distress. Allah also blessed the Prophet's uncle Abu Talib when he was under his guardianship, although Abu Talib was poor. Allah also assigned a cloud to shade of the Prophet, peace be upon him, alone from the heat of the sun in his trip to Syria. It ran only over him, excluding other people in the caravan. Allah inspired him to the right path and guided him to virtues and noble deeds in everything. When he was young, he used to hide himself far away from people to relieve himself. Allah honored him with the salutation of stones and trees to him. On hearing their salutations, the Prophet, peace be upon him, would turn to the right and left, but he could see no one. Jewish and Christian scholars, monks and rabbis knew the time of the Prophet from what is mentioned about him in the Torah and what Isa had mentioned. Therefore, they were asking about his birth and his emergence. Many of them knew him when they saw him, or when they heard about his deeds or description. The Prophet, peace be upon him, grew up to be distinguished by his perfect morals, unconcerned with trivialities that occupied his fellow children. When he became a grown-up, he was the wisest, the most discerning, the most virtuous, the most truthful, the most honest, and the most righteous. His people called him the trustworthy, and they saved their charges and deposits with him. Allah saved him from the evils of al-Jahiliyyah, the pre-Islamic period. He detested the idols since his childhood. He had never sworn by them, respected them, attended their feasts, nor eaten from the offerings slaughtered on the altars, al-Ansab, stones erected for idols. People used to slaughter their sheep on stones, pour their blood on these stones, and then worship them. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was a placid person who sympathized with the poor. He never disgraced a poor person for their poverty, nor did he awe kings for their power. He never drank wine, though it was a prevalent habit among his people then. He did not commit adultery, steal, or kill, but he adhered to the noble manners based on honesty, sincerity, and faithfulness. In general, Allah saved him from faults before prophethood as well as after it. He wore turbans, shirts, drawers, and long loincloths. He wore cotton clothes and sometimes wool or linen clothes. He wore slippers, sandals, and sometimes walked barefoot. He rode horses, mules, camels, and donkeys. He slept on mattresses, straw mats, beds, or sometimes on the floor, and he sat on the floor. He mended his shoes and patched his clothes. He had sheep, slaves, and bondmaids only as far as his household needs. His way of eating was that he never refused the food available, nor sought unavailable food. The Prophet's life before the revelation. You knew that he is Muhammad, son of Abdul Muttalib, son of Hashim. His grandfather, Hashim, was the master of Quraysh, the most honored Arab tribe. They settled in Mecca and in its suburbs. They earned money from trading in clothes, upholstery, and other consumer needs. They had 2 commercial trips to Syria in summer and to Yemen in winter. They possessed large numbers of camels and sheep to ride and benefit from their milk, wool, and hair. When the Prophet, peace be upon him, was grown up enough to work and earn money to pay for his expenses, he started working as a shepherd. And this was Allah's custom with his messengers in order to teach them how to treat people kindly, just like being kind with sheep. He earned money from grazing sheep, then afterwards from trading in Quraysh's trade. He worked only to fulfill his needs. He was neither greedy nor did he renounce the world, to be prepared by Allah for a prescribed mission and utter devotion to call for Islam. The Prophet's worship before prophethood. Some of the Arabs before Islam followed Judaism, while others followed Christianity, both of which were changed and distorted from the original messages of Moses and Jesus. The rest of the Arabs worshipped idols. Most of the people in Quraysh were doing so, except a few of them who reproached their people for worshipping these idols. Prophet Muhammad, son of Abdullah, had a pure heart and virtuous soul by nature. Allah created him that way in order to make him fully capable to receive his pure Sharia, Islamic law, and teach it to all mankind in the best and most perfect way. For that reason, his pious soul was directed to the truth, not knowing other than it, and not accepting anything else. His nature disdained falsehood, and recognized the truth. Therefore he did not follow any of the bad customs of his own people, neither did he beautify falsehood, nor demonize unaccepted truth. This was the nature of his father Ibrahim, peace be upon him, even before his prophethood. Likewise, it was the nature of all prophets, peace be upon them. Allah created them such as to devote themselves for His Almighty. Even before their prophethood, their good spirits refused the false beliefs and wrong customs and worship that prevailed among their people. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, came into being devoted to Allah purely with all his heart. Polytheism did not approach his pious heart. His nature despised the idols and detested these false gods. He did not attend the festivals made for them, and he did not approach or care about them. He only worshipped the Creator of the universe, to whom he devoted his sincere servitude through contemplation and glorification. He used to circumambulate around the Kaaba and make pilgrimage like all the people who made pilgrimage following the creed of Ibrahim. It was not confirmed by a single sound narration that he followed the worship of any other previous prophet. It was reported that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to seek seclusion in the cave of Hira for an entire month every year. This used to coincide with the month of Ramadan, where he worshipped Allah by contemplation. He also used to feed the poor with the food he brought for the period of his seclusion. It was reported that he took along provisions of cakes and oil, and when he ran out of supplies, he returned back to his family to take more provisions than he returned back. When he completed his seclusions, he used to circumambulate around the Kaaba 7 rounds before returning back home. Hira is also called the Mountain of Light, and it is situated on the left side of the road to the mountain of Arafah, and it contains the cave in which the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, worshipped. The cave's entrance is narrow. Its area is about 3 square meters. In that cave, the Prophet, peace be upon him, received the revelation for the first time. It is said that his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, used to worship in Hira and was followed in worshipping there by Waraqa ibn Nawfal and Abu Umayyah ibn Abdul Uzza. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, liked seclusion from his childhood to his prophethood, when Allah sent him as a mercy to mankind. Right before his prophethood, Prophet Muhammad's dreams became as obvious and clear as the morning light. They would come true when he wakes up, exactly as he saw them in his sleep. This was an early sign of his prophethood.